Jeprar ma'am, today you are telling us about Chinese concept and how it is affecting India. So ma'am, can you tell me what is the policy of China?
You see, basically, the Chinese policy and the entire Chinese country, it was founded in 1949. It became the People's Republic of China. And Mao Zedong or Mao Zedong, and there are two names for him. He was the whole soul of this Chinese Communist Party. And he has framed certain policies of this People's Republic of China. Now, we all know that China basically is a communist country. And being a communist country, their agenda is an expansionist theory. They believe in expansion of territory with trade. So they very seldom look for any wars or any kind of skirmishes, but then they believe in expanding their territory, their regime with trade. Now, you see, Mao had formed certain theories, and according to the Mao theory, they basically had this one very famous theory which said that how should you try to grab any enemy territory? That should be with three words, and that is encircle, entangle, and envelope. Now, with this theory, they try to grab a particular country or grab a particular land with trade. And this was Mao's theory. The second theory that Mao said was that when the whole world is in chaos, find an opportunity. Now, the best example here is the coronavirus. When the whole world was in chaos, China entered Ladakh, tried to enter Ladakh, and the Galwan incident happened. Now, when this Galwan incident happened, the Chinese were very dominating in spite of many peace talks. Uh, China did not listen to what India was saying, and China did not retreat back. And this policy is also seen in all the other circumstances. Another Mao's very important policy was that when you want to enter into war with some country, how should you ensure that you win this war? So you should basically show the enemy its weakness, and after showing the weakness, then you dominate the enemy, and that is the time when you attack. What happens when a country shows your weakness? Naturally, the weakness that is shown, one starts thinking whether it is true or not. And when one starts thinking, he loses his capacity to react or to fight. And that is when you win wars. Now, this basic, the policy of China is based on disloyalty, dishonesty, deceit, and anything and everything that you can think of is negative, because the Chinese believe in we live, you die. That is their theory. And they have a very, very strong concepts as far as the Communist Party of China is concerned. Anybody who raises voice against the Communist Party of China is executed there and then. And we have seen this very, very widely in China. If you read the news, you will come to know that many industrialists who have criticized the Chinese policy, the Chinese industrialists who have criticized Chinese policies have gone missing. And there is a Chinese actress also who failed to pay her taxes to the government, and she also criticized certain policies of the Chinese Communist Party, and she also is missing. These policies of China are uh, are in a form of a dictatorship, and Xi Jinping is emerging out to be another Hitler. His dream is, he wants to become the next Mao Zedong, and this is what is the policy of China.
Does China have problems with neighboring countries also?
Yes, of course. We all know that when China tried to transgress into Ladakh, we know that during that time there were these Southeast Asian countries, and plus, like you have the in the South China Sea, you have Indonesia, you have Malaysia, you have Philippines, you have Vietnam, and it has problems with Japan also in the Senkaku Island, and it has problems with Indonesia in the Natanu Islands as well. So the problem of China is not only India, but it wants to dominate. A communist regime believes in domination of the entire world, and with the dream of becoming the world power and the superpower forever in 2039, China is trying to not only grab territories by force, but also trying to have problems, and also trying to put sanctions, and also trying to disturb certain countries and their integrity and their unity. For example, recently in Nepal and Bhutan, in Nepal, we know that the Chinese ambassador in Nepal, he spoke to the ruling Nepalese Communist Party government, and he intervened. Not only he, but a special representative from China was sent to intervene within the government when there was a bit of problem in the government. And that is when Nepal started speaking against India. Nepal raised certain border issues with India. Nepal changed the map of India, and China has also tried to. China has transgressed into Nepal as well. China has taken its territory into Nepal also. So not only this, but with Bhutan also it has got problem. With Bhutan also it tried to do the same thing. But then, this kind of policy of China is to dominate a country first, to help the country first so that it becomes totally dependent on China, and then when it becomes totally dependent, then make that country as your slave. Like it is also doing the similar thing with Pakistan, building the CPEC. It is not only built CPEC with their selfish interest to ensure that the trade route is set to China, but then it is trying to grab certain areas of Pakistan also. Now, since the time CPEC has started, there have been 63 bad and lethal attacks on the CPEC corridor by the Baluchis, by the people of Sindh, and it has spoiled the entire construction of the CPEC and spoiled the entire project of the CPEC corridor. And that is why China has now decided that about 24 kilometers along the CPEC corridor, the Chinese are virtually going to, they are manning the various posts, they are ensuring that they have their establishments within 24 kilometers of the radius, and they are taking care of that CPEC highway. So now this shows the exact expansionist policy like we had during the Britishers' time. When the East India Company came, it did the same thing. And this is how they started ruling our country. This is how the Britishers ruled our country. So they are using the same tactics, and they are making Pakistan absolutely helpless and dependent on China, so as to ensure that India is encircled, enveloped, and India gets entangled within its own neighbors, and India finally succumbs to the pressure of China.
So, ma'am, China and India share a common border with other countries. So, is there any problem over there also?
Yes, there is a problem. In fact, there are four tri-junctions, if I'm not wrong, that India has with China and a third country. Like we have the Dokala with Bhutan, Indo-Bhutan and China. Now, it's not actually Doklam. Doklam is a Chinese name, but we call it Dokala. Then we have this Lipule, where the India, Nepal, and China, we have a tri-junction there. Then we have one tri-junction with Pakistan, that is in Karakoram, that is again India, China, and Pakistan. And we have one in the east, that is Asafilla. So, these tri-junctions off and on, and very, very often nowadays, they keep having these Chinese people coming inside and troubling the other countries. Now, as far as Nepal is concerned, Nepal has become their, if I say their colony, I will not be wrong. Nepal has become their colony. Pakistan is already the slave of China. So, very on and off, we have, Chinese troops coming inside and trying to transgress into that area. But the Indian troops are keeping a very, very sharp vision on all these tri-junctions and are ensuring that the Chinese are kept at bay. Now, we know about Dokala since we have a long understanding and a treaty with Bhutan that we are going to train the Bhutanese army and we take care of that country. So, India is manning the post of Dokala, and that is why that was a very big objection that China had raised regarding Dokala. We know for how long the standoff was there and what actually happened there, and how we forced China by showing our strength. We forced China to retreat back. So that is when China came to know that we are dealing probably with a very tough India, and these tough decisions need to be taken by naturally a strong leader. And we have a strong leader who is taking these tough decisions to ensure that China remains away from the mainland.
So, ma'am, is Xi Jinping's position in China is strong?
You see, Xi Jinping is very popular in the Politburo, in the Communist Party Politburo. He is very popular in the Communist Party. He has a good standing in their committee, in their core committee. But unfortunately, he is not popular amongst the people of China. Now, what all is happening? We all know that China is basically made up of four parts: Mongolia, you have Tibet, then you have Xinjiang province, and you have the rest of the China. So, every part of China has some or the other problem with China. The moment there were voices of dissent and voice of democracy rising from Hong Kong, that is the moment when voice of democracy was being raised not only in Tibet but in Mongolia as well and in Xinjiang as well. Internal problems of China are much more. The problem with Xi Jinping is that he wants to emerge as the next Mao, as I told you, and the next his term is not going to end, but then 2022 is the date when it will be decided, or is the year rather when it will be decided, that whether Xi Jinping is becoming the second Mao. Now, his policies again are very, very, dominating. We all know that we have heard of the big industrialists, like you have this person of the Communist Party, Mr. Ren, who criticized China about its handling regarding the coronavirus, and he immediately went missing. We know about Alibaba, Jack Ma, the owner of Alibaba. He criticized the banking system of China. And the banking system is owned by the Communist Party of China. And the moment he criticized it, he has gone missing. Until date, he is missing. There are many industrialists who have criticized the Chinese banking policy plus the handling of the coronavirus, and most of them either have gone missing or their companies have become a nationalized company. Now, the children of the Communist Party leaders, the youngsters, the young blood of China, whom in China they call them princes. So these princelies, something like a dynastic rule is there in the Communist Party. So the dynasty, it follows. So, they have this, like we have WhatsApp, they have another system where they chat within themselves. And while chatting within themselves, it was also found that these young people of the Chinese Communist Party's leaders, they are not happy with the Chinese Communist Party about the handling of the coronavirus, nor are they happy about the economy of China. So, all these voices are going against Xi Jinping. And now, what he has to see is whether he can succeed in becoming the next Mao, or whether he needs to bring about changes, or he needs to take a step back and somebody else has to become has to take his place, because sources also say that the Prime Minister of China is much more popular amongst the people because he has a bit of humane attitude. So fingers are crossed. Let us observe, and we should observe with our eyes wide open.
Okay, ma'am. So, are there internal problems in China which India should focus on?
You see, yes. The reason why India should focus on is because China is an important enemy. Not an important enemy, but an enemy whom we should be very, very vigilant and very, very careful about. Now, if you remember, there were floods in Wuhan. And after these floods in Wuhan, there is currently a terrible food crisis in China. And so much so that China has started rationing of the food items. This food security problem is a problem which probably India is not paying attention to, and India should pay attention to this problem, and in fact, India should cash on. Another problem, when Galwan happened, we know that 12 of our brave soldiers, they attained Veer Gati along with Colonel Santosh Babu. 20 of our brave soldiers, they attained Veer Gati. Now, similarly, there was a heavy casualty in the Chinese side as well. So, in the Chinese side, it is believed, that is what the reports say, that 43 Chinese troops were killed. But then, as far as the internal reports from China are concerned, which were extracted later on, about 150 Chinese soldiers were killed. We gave a ceremonial burial to all the brave martyrs. But then what happened in China? In China, the soldiers who were killed in this Galwan incident, their bodies were not even handed over to their families. They were kept in dark for a very long time. And there was a lot of, lot of disagreement between the people and the government, as far as the government policy is concerned, as far as the defense policy is concerned, and as far as the PLA is concerned about handing over the bodies. And people were very, very unhappy with the way the PLA took, the way they did their last rites and everything. For a very long time, their families did not even know that my son or my daughter, or sorry, not daughter, my son or my husband has been killed in this Galwan incident. Okay, so this dissent is growing very, very large against the PLA also and the Communist Party policy as well. Now, another thing which we should raise voice, and we should raise voice in the United Nations, we should raise voice not only in United Nations but also in the WTO. There is an Australian ship which is stranded in China since a very long time. I think it's about 6 months long. And there are about nearly about many Indian workers, about say more than 100 Indian workers on that ship. Now, the reason why this ship is stranded is because if you know, the China has put restrictions or sanctions rather on the Australian coal. The moment China put restrictions on the Australian coal, Australia also started putting restrictions on the Chinese trade. When this was happening, this ship, which was full of coal, it reached China and it got stuck there. There were Indian sailors as well, and till now, due to coronavirus, we have not been able to rescue them, but then the Indian government is trying its best to rescue them and to bring them back to our country. Now, this very thing that China has not put sanctions, in fact, China has stopped taking coal from Australia. Due to this, you will not believe that in China, literally, there is industrial blackout for 6 hours. Now, an industry going into, excuse me, an industry going into a blackout due to no electricity available for 6 hours is such a big loss to the economy of China. There is a lot of energy crisis due to this, and it is only because of the Australian coal and nothing else. Now, this is a growing problem too in China. Now, along with all this, we also have, the other neighboring countries like you have Cambodia, Singapore, Taiwan, all these countries who are raising their voice against the domination of China every now and then. There is also news that Taiwan is trying to build up a nuclear plant with the help of America. Now, as far as India's position on all this is concerned, India is, till now, India has got a very good support from America, from Australia, from Japan, and from some countries in the Europe, but then not all. In fact, UK has taken a very strong stand for Hong Kong and its democratic rights appeal. But then Germany, on the contrary, has signed certain agreements with Huawei and regarding the 5G, they've signed an agreement. But we cannot be very sure about the European countries. Regarding India and its support against China, currently, due to coronavirus, maximum of the countries were against China. All the countries also have understood that this virus, the origin was from Wuhan, and this virus spread to the entire world. And what is the condition of the world? Not only in health sector, but economically as well. another thing, that China has been exporting the vaccine against coronavirus. Now, this vaccine has also been proven to be a big failure. It is only 50%, that is what it is believed, that it is only 50% efficient, and it is turning out to be a big failure. And the countries to which China is exporting this are becoming again very, very strong anti China. So, there are, due to this, even the scientists of China are very much against um, uh, the Communist Party and the ruling leader. Not only this, we all also know about the Uyghur Muslims. The way these Uyghur Muslims are being tortured, they are being troubled, and they have been made as bonded laborers. Sorry. So, there was a report from Switzerland lately that about 25,000 Uyghur Muslims have been, they have been found, and China is doing this. China is selling their organs, and they are into this big racket of organ selling, which is not legal across the whole world. Not only this, compulsorily they are doing the operation of family planning of the ladies of Uyghur. So the entire Xinjiang province is displeased and not at all satisfied with the Communist Party.
So, ma'am, what about China's interference into India's internal matters?
You see, China, yes, it is interfering a lot in the Indian internal matters. We all know that not only the strategic places, but not only as far as the borders of China and India are concerned, we have a lot of problem in all parts wherever we have this LAC or line of actual control with China. But with this, China is also interfering a lot into the internal matters, into the internal policies of India. You see, the Naga peace talks have not been successful, and it is only because of the Chinese, because they are influencing the Nagas, they are providing arms, they are providing them with ammunition, with latest weaponry, with latest equipment, and they are motivating them to go against India. Now, disturbing the Naga peace talks and ensuring that northeast area of India remains always burning. Not only this, but also Pakistan. We know what is happening in Pakistan. We know about the Sipek corridor. We know that how China, in spite of India, in spite of all the countries saying that they should blacklist Masood Azhar, China always took a step backwards. How China has helped even Pakistan. Now, it has naturally disturbed the internal problems of our country. Another very shocking thing about China is that China is very, very widely supporting a particular group in India which is trying to establish their identity as a Dravidian community. Now, this is a big issue for India. In fact, India should concentrate on its internal matters as well, and India should cash on to the internal matters which are disturbing China also, to attract the world attention towards what all is going on China and how China is doing its human rights violations. Now, this Dravidian community is being supported by China with full hands, and they are being again motivated and inspired and instigated to go against the Indian government. Not only this, China has also entered into the India's financial market. It is funding all those newspapers, all the media which is against the government, or rather, which which is quite vulnerable. It controls maximum amount of media, maximum amount of the newspapers and the social media, where people of India raise their voice. And this funding which China is doing is colossal. One cannot imagine the amount of funding that they are doing. Economically, China, yes, we all know about the Chinese manja, we all know about the essence stick, we all also know about the Chinese products that are coming into India, which are not that good, which are very harmful. We all know about the Chinese color, the color which we apply during when we play Holi. We also know that that China is kind of capturing the Indian markets. Somewhere an awareness should be created. Somewhere people should become vigilant that China is absolutely trying to control India through all its sides. Not only this, China is also trying to fund certain political parties which are against the one nationhood and the patriotism and unity that India stands for, in spite of having so much of diversity. And helping these political parties, by helping them, China is trying to boost and moot its own interest into the country. This is exactly the reason why the previous governments never raised their voice when China transgressed into our area, when China entered into the area, but nor did they let the people of the country know that this is happening at the borders. But now, thankfully, we are being very strong and very, very dominant. Another very important thing I would like to state here is that, we have people who keep questioning the government on every step that the government takes. We have people who keep asking how much area has China taken in Ladakh from the time the standoff has happened from April. What about Pangong Tso? How much of Pangong Tso has been taken by China? How much have they entered into the northeast? How much is the area that they have already taken charge of in India? Look at Nepal. Nepal is putting up a map, and it is due to the wrong policies of India. Now, when people and political parties ask these questions, I feel very sorry to state that they do it without any kind of homework of theirs. From the time in April, there has been a standoff in Ladakh. Let me tell you very, very clearly, not an inch of land we have lost. We have ensured to push back the Chinese, which had, who had tried to approach and who had tried to transgress, but they were not successful. When the political parties and the people start questioning its own army, it hurts. And it hurts very, very badly. And when it hurts, we feel that if the country and the people do not believe in us, then from where are we going to get that amount of energy or motivation? But believe you me, the armed forces of my country is so strong that come what may, we will not allow China nor Pakistan to take an inch of our land. Inch of our land. People start speaking, this much kilometers have been gone, and when experts come on the channel and they speak, that this has happened and this has happened. How did the Indian army let them enter into this area? This was not done properly. This was not done properly. Now, when it was not done properly, on what basis do you say this? Do you get some kind of classified information? None of us get some kind of information. None of our sources tell us all this. From where do you get your information? From where do you get these wonderful and beautiful ideas of criticizing your own army? That army which has always kept your head held high and with pride. How can you question that army of yours who has always ensured that they sacrifice their lives first before the enemy can enter into the territory of India? This is one thing which I would like to appeal to the people, that never ever doubt your army. Always believe that the army will do for the safety and security of this country, and that is it.